everyone, this is Sarah and welcome to our live video chat. Now today's live video is going to be a crochet together. I'm so excited today. This is going to be so much fun. We're changing the format of what we usually do. We usually have a little talk at the beginning. I answer a question or two that's come in through the week. And then I show you maybe some new yarns and some new patterns. Well, we're doing it just a little bit different today. The first thing we need to do is clink in. If you're here today, clink in and let me know where you're from. And don't panic if you don't have the correct yarns. Don't worry. We'll get to that part in just a little bit. Hello, Crystal and Dana. Glad you popped in. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you first some of the things that we did this week, and then we're going to have our discussion about scrubby yarns and make a scrubby. And I'm doing it this way to give people a chance to get in here and so we can get started all together. Good morning, Jeannie. Glad to see you pop in. All right, so what happened this week? Well, we did this fun little, I call this the lollipop flower. And you make a little flower and it slides, where'd that lollipop go? It slides right over a Tootsie Roll Pop or a Blow Pop, and they make a great arrangement. And that was a pattern on the blog and a YouTube video. And then I had a request for my dog bed, and this particular puppy dog bed comes in two sizes. It's nice and roomy, and I don't have the one Rosie slept in. I put it away because it's kind of special to me. When we first got Rosie, she was less than a pound, and she slept in one of these little dog beds, and we had her up by our pillows at night because we were so afraid. She was so little, and we were so afraid she'd roll off the bed. So we kept her close. But I had a request for this, and this used to be a paid pattern, and I decided to make it free and put it out there for National Puppy Day. So that was something else that happened this week. Good morning, Petra and Leslie. I see you all popped in too. Now, yesterday we did stitch number 3 for our crochet along that we're doing that's a year long. Each month we're adding a new stitch to our Harmony sample blanket. In January we did the modified granny stitch. In March we did the V-stitch, and then for February. And then for March, we did the cross stitch. And you can find those on my blogs and also on my YouTube channel. And I wanted to just go through this stuff first to give everybody a chance. Something on my mouth. To give everybody a chance to get in and clink in. And then we'll get started on our talk about scrubby yarns and how to make a scrubby. Now, it's so funny because when the scrubby yarn first came out, Red Heart sent me some. Here's the regular O. It's made out of polyester. Let's see. It has 3.5 ounces on it, and it has 92 yards. So there's a lot of yarn here. I'm going to pull that up close so you can see what it looks like. It's got all those little bumps and hairs. And we'll look at it again on the other cam later. And this is great scrubby yarn. It's perfect for cleaning, doing the dishes. And if you make a scrubby like this is 2 strands of the scrubby yarn. And this is similar to what we're going to do today. And these are great for cleaning the ring around your bathtub. They're great for cleaning the bathroom sinks. They're also great for doing the faucets or any little job that you have that requires a little bit of scrubbying. Is that a word? Scrubbying? Scrubbing. So that was the first scrubby that Red Heart came out with. The next scrubby that they came out with was the Sparkle Scrubby. And the Sparkle Scrubby is a little bit different. It's also polyester, which is a fake fiber. But this has 3.5 ounces, but it has 174 yards. And so it looks like, there you go. It looks like eyelash. And I love using this. But when I use this to make a scrubby like this, I use 3 strands of this one because it is so thin. If I'm just going to use the Scrubby Sparkle. So then what I did is when I was using the Scrubby, I added a cotton yarn to it. And I usually used a peaches and cream, sugar and cream, or I used the I Love This Cotton. Red Heart didn't have a good cotton yarn that worked great for these Scrubbies. So this last, I found this probably about a month ago at Joann's. I had read about it, but I hadn't got to try it. And this is called Scrubby Smoothie. And this is Red Heart's cotton that makes a nice companion with their regular Scrubby. Well, they also have a cotton Scrubby. And these are the two that are my favorite to work together. The Scrubby and the cotton Scrubby together. Smoothie, this is cotton smoothie, to work together. Now, you don't have to buy Red Heart Scrubby though. You can go to you can go to Hobby Lobby and get this. This is the Yarn Bee, which is one of Hobby Lobby's brands, which is Scrubology. And then they also have a Scrubology in cotton. I keep going too far, don't I? So there's a couple of choices that you can use. Now, Burnett and Lion Brand, I believe both make a Scrubby. And I might have seen one at Joann's. I'm not sure. But you can use any Scrubby and any cotton that you prefer. Now I'm going to bring you down to the top cam that I use for when we do patterns so that we can get busy and get started on making a Scrubby. Before we do this, everybody clink in. Let me know where you're clinking in from, okay? I love seeing that when you're all from like Tennessee and Texas and California and all other places. It's just so much fun for me. All right, I'm going to go down to the top cam. And I have to grab my glasses and scoot over a little. All right, so here's our Scrubby Cotton. Here is the Red Heart Scrubby Smoothie. And these are the two that I'm going to be using today for our demonstration. But like I said, you can use any Scrubby that you have on hand or any cotton. And if you don't have any cotton or Scrubby on hand, you can use an acrylic worsted weight number 4 just so that you can practice and get used to how the pattern works, and then you can make a bunch however you like. Let me show you first though these Scrubbies. I've got 3 Scrubbies here, and then I've got 3 Scrubbies here. Now these 2 Scrubbies are made with 2 strands of Scrubby yarn. This one is the polyester Scrubby, and this one is the cotton Scrubby. And these are perfect for doing the dishes. Like I said, those hard messes that you really have to scrub hard. Now, you can also use 1 strand of cotton and 1 strand of Scrubby. And this also makes a nice Scrubby for doing the dishes or sinks and things. But maybe you don't need as strong a Scrubby as these. And so both of these are made with 1 strand of cotton and 1 strand of Scrubby. Now, another thing that you can do is do this same pattern just using 2 strands of whatever cotton that you have on hand. And this one here is a peaches and cream, and this one is that sugar and cream I showed you earlier. Now, this is what I like to do when somebody gets married or for a housewarming or something like that, or they're starting over fresh. I like to make a set. The cotton one is great for your face. You can wash your face with this cotton Scrubby or take your makeup off with it. You can do the dishes or you can do the bathtubs. It's a nice gift to give somebody as a gift. So there's a set there, and the same thing here. So those are some options that you can choose to do today. I don't care which kind you choose. You can do 2 strands of any Scrubby. You can do 1 each, cotton and Scrubby, or you can do 2 strands of the cotton. All right, now I'm going to show you these 2 here are just 2 strands of cotton, and these are made from a cotton that I found. I think it's I got it at Michael's. It's really, really soft, nice cotton, perfect for your face. All right, so these have lots of great uses. So let's get started. I'm going to be using these 2. I'm going to use 1 strand of the cotton and 1 strand of the Scrubby cotton. get the glare off of there. Now we're going to need a crochet hook, and we're going to be using a J hook that's called a J10, which is a 6. I keep saying 8 for some silly reason. It's a 6.00 millimeter crochet hook. And I like to use the J because it still makes a nice tight stitch without being bunchy. All right. The other thing you're going to need is a needle for weaving in your ends when we're done, and a pair of scissors. Super easy, not much that you're going to need. All right, let me pop on my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull the outside off my scrubby yarn and pull from the outside. And something that I do when I'm using 2 strands is I have this little bucket tin, and I just throw it in there and then I can just pull from that bucket tin. All right, this one's coming from the middle, so hopefully it will still come that way. All right, now when you're, let me get my sleeves out of the way. When you're using 2 strands of yarn together, you can roll it into 2 balls if you want to, or you can do like I do. It just keeps it from bouncing all over the floor. Hi, Kimberly. I see you just clinked in. That's okay. We're just getting started. All right. Now, when you're using scrubby yarn and cotton yarn together, you want to hold them together all the time. When you're stitching, you don't want them to get loopy or drapey. And that's true of any time you're working with more than 1 strand. All right. So we're going to take our J hook. We're going to make that slip knot. And we're going to chain 5 chains. Now, one of the secrets to working with scrubby yarn is you need to crochet probably just a smidge looser than what you're used to. So we're going to chain 5, and I kind of give it just a little bit of a pull just because I want it to be just a little bit looser. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because I want it to be just a little bit looser than what I usually do. The scrubby yarn, if you pull too tightly, this is really rough, and it could really give you a blister on your fingers, especially if you're doing 2 strands of the scrubby yarn. All right, we're going to take the tail, wrap it along across our hook, and pull it through, because we're going to make a, see how that scrubby yarn catches on everything? We're going to make a circle. I'm just going to stick my thumb in there, and then I do what's called a stay knot. We just whip it over and snug it down. So now I have a chain 5 circle. I'm going to take it and move it over because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, put it on the other side, because we're going to stitch over this as we're stitching around in order to keep us from having to weave this in later. And then if we have a hole, we can close it with this string. All right? So I'm going to put my hook through the hole of our chain 5, and I'm going to chain 3. Now, stitching with scrubby yarn can be a little bit frustrating, and so you just need to take it slow and stitch a little bit loose. All right, there's my chain 3. The chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So now I'm going to double crochet 9 more times, moving around this chain 5. So I've already yarned over. I'm going to go in the circle and do a double crochet. There we go. That didn't want to pull out very good. All right, so my chain 3 counts as 1, and then I've got 1. So now I need to do 8 more, so we have a total of 10 double crochets. This cotton yarn by Red Heart, it's a good combination of, we don't want to grab the wrong string there, of a soft and a rough at the same time. It's kind of in between your Red Heart, not Red Heart, but in between the Peaches and Cream and the Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. That's so soft. It's a good in between. Alrighty. So I'm trying to keep my stitches just a little bit loose. All right, so here's my chain 3 that counts as 1. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 8, 9, and we need to do one more. All right, there's my 10th. So I've got 10 double crochets around. I'm going to join to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. So here's the top of my chain 3. I'm going to go right in, yarn over, pull the loop that's on my hook through the loop that's already on the hook, and chain 3. All right, let's see if we can get some more yarn pulled out here. There we go. All right, so there's 10 double crochets. Now we have this string here, and we can pull that, and then when we're done, I'll also show you how to close that up, okay? So don't panic if you've got a string, and don't panic if you got a hole, okay? All right, so what we're going to do now is we want to stitch 2 double crochets in each of those 10 so that we have 20. So our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet. So let's double crochet in that next stitch. And then we'll place 2 double crochets in each of these stitches. Now, one thing that can be very frustrating is when you're stitching the especially 2 or 3 strands of the scrubby yarn, it's really hard to find your stitches. So with the cotton on here, it makes it a little easier to see the stitches. But if I was doing 2 strands of the scrubby, make sure you watch across the top, not the sides of the stitches, but the top, and make sure you put that hook through those loops, okay? Because that's one of the things that becomes very frustrating with the scrubby yarn, is not being able to find those stitches. And again, keep it loose. Don't hang tight, hang loose. Alrighty, so I'm going to place 2 double crochets in each of the 10 double crochets. One thing I do recommend when you're stitching with more than one strand like this, and you've got a yarn, because the scrubby yarn does not have any stretch. It does not at all. And it's a good idea to have a good sturdy hook. And if you're using a plastic, I've broken them doing this particular style of stitching. The plastic hooks are great, but if you pull and tug on some of this yarn that doesn't have any give, those plastic hooks do have give, and they will break on you. Okay, that's why I've got this one. This one has a bamboo handle on the bottom of it. And I just picked this up, I think, at Joann's or Hobby Lobby. I don't even know what brand it is. Didn't see it. It doesn't have anything on it. But when I get to my bigger hooks, I like that little bamboo handle on the end. Alrighty. Let's keep moving around here. Now, I did make a photo album on the Posh Pooch Designs page on Facebook, that if you make some scrubbies, or you have made some scrubbies with the scrubby yarn, you can post some pictures there so we can all see what you've done. And you can also post some questions. If I haven't answered the question and you have one, you can post a question there also. Alrighty, let's count and see how many I've got here. So here's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8. So I need 2 more in this last stitch. Whoops. That particular cotton is not cooperating. Oh, you know what I just did? I missed a stitch. There we go. I only put 1 in that one. All right. And then we get the last one. And there's 2 rows, and you have 10 double crochets on your first row, and you should have 20 on your second row. And we're going to do what we did on the first row. We're going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch, but we're only going to chain 1. I'm just going to snug that down for a second. And you can see now it's pooching up in the middle because I need to close this hole. And I'll do that one after we finish this last row for you. All right, so that's the 2 rows. The 3rd row is single crochets. And so what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the first stitch. And we chained 1 here, and when we join around, we're going to join to the single crochet, not the chain 1. Okay? So we're going to place 1 single crochet in the first stitch. Then in the next stitch, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. All right, get some more yarn here. Now, if you watch any of my videos on YouTube, they're a little bit different than what we're doing today, because I usually do a row, and then I will check it, make sure I didn't make any mistakes, or, I don't always catch them, but I do try, and make sure that there's plenty of yarn out and ready to go. So doing it live is just a little bit different. So what we're doing here is we're making 1 single crochet in this stitch, then 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Let's see, 2, 1, 2, 1, and now we're going to make 2. And this gets us a nice outer edge. And see, I keep grabbing that tail. There we go. See, I would edit that out if I was doing this for a video, not live. All right, 2 single crochets, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets in the next, and we're just going to move all the way around. And I like having that single crochet edge because it like finishes it off for us, and it also helps it hold its shape. So there's 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Now I haven't got a chance to check the comments, and when we finish up, I'll take a look and see if I've missed any questions. I'm not very good at multitasking, I'll have to tell you that. All right, there's our second single crochet. 1 single crochet and 2. We're almost around. 1, 2, 1, and 1, 2. All right, so we've got all our single crochets done on the outside edge. We're going to join to the single crochet, not the chain 1, with a slip stitch. And we're going to cut this yarn. And I left a long tail on there so I would have something to weave in. And what I like to do is I'll go to the back of the next stitch, and I'll put the loop on my hook and pull it to the back, and then tie off to the back. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to close our hole that we have here in the middle. And so I'm going to take my yarn, and when I'm doing this, I like to do the individual, not together, because the scrubby yarn catches on everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around this circle using just the cotton piece. Now, if you're using 2 strands of scrubby, you'll definitely want to do this with that. But this is one of the things that's a little bit complicated, because the scrubby catches on everything, because that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to catch so that it cleans well. So that's where that can be just a little bit complicated. And so here's the front of the scrubby. I closed the hole from the back with my cotton, and I'm just going to go ahead and weave that in and cut that off. Now, I still need to weave in the ends here. I cut off that end from the center where the scrubby was as well. You can see there. Okay, so now I just need to weave in these 2 ends. And it's real important to weave this in real good, because you don't want your scrubby coming apart when you're trying to do the dishes, or maybe scrubbing the bathtub. There we go. Weave it in, going through stitches going through the fibers of the yarn, going one way, then going back. I like to try to go 3. I don't always make it because I don't always cut the yarn long enough, but I do like to try to do that. Okay, so there's the 3rd way to go. And let me get this last one, and I'll weave that in by itself because that yarn is so catchy. Even gets caught getting on here. And so what I like to do is sort of break the rules. When you're normally weaving in your ends, you want to go through stitches, you want to go through fibers, but this yarn catches on everything. And so I'm going to go around the stitch, which is not the way to do that normally. But with this scrubby yarn, it catches on everything. And so I'll go around the stitch, and then I'll try to go back up where I went. The other nice thing about this yarn catching on everything is that it's probably not going to come undone. All right, so there is the scrubby that you can make. Now, like I said, you can make it out of a solid 2 strands of cotton, 1 strand of cotton and 1 strand of scrubby, or 2 strands of scrubby. So this is my suggestion. If you've never made a scrubby before, practice first with 2 strands of cotton. And if you don't have cotton, practice with some leftover worsted weight. And then once you figure out how this pattern works, because it really is quite simple, practice with 1 scrubby strand and 1 strand of cotton, and then you can see how well that works. And then try the 2 strands of scrubby. Now, one other thing I will tell you about working with 2 strands of scrubby, I sort of cheat. It's really difficult even to see the stitches when you look on the edge. And so what I will do is I will place the stitches in between the stitches sometimes instead of in the stitches. In other words, we'll do our 10 stitches, and then I'll go between, and I'll place those 2 stitches between each of those stitches. As long as I have the 20 double crochets, I'm happy with that. And then when it comes to doing the single crochet, I'll do the same thing. I'll put 1 between 1 stitch, then I'll go between the next and put the 2. And I only do this when I'm working with the scrubby yarn. That way I don't get frustrated, and I still end up with a wonderful scrubby that I can use. All right, I'm going to pop back over to the top. All right, well, I hope that helped you understand how to make a scrubby. I hope that you will. And like I said, I have a photo album on the Posh Pooch Designs Facebook business page where you can post any pictures that you've made. And I really hope you'll practice it. It's super easy. You can also, if you want a written pattern, like to look at it, it'll be on the blog, so you'll be able to go check that out and look at that as well. All right, let me take a quick glance and see if there's any questions. I don't think I missed. Susie says she's going to watch it later, and that's a good idea. You know, that's why I put them on Facebook. That's why I put them on YouTube. So anytime you want to come back and watch them, you can. Live is fun, though, isn't it? Now, if you want to do another live video and you have an idea, and I'm sure I'll come up with some more as well, just let me know. You can post it here if there's something that you want me to do live. I'm really enjoying it. I know live is different. It's not like filming where I can start and stop the camera. And it's a little bit different, but it is a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed this today, and I hope that you... Shoo, did it. Michelle did it. Yay! Now, Michelle, make sure you post a picture. I'm so glad, Crystal, she said that it was fun. And it is fun. Because I love crochet, and something I read this week that really hit home for me. And it said, I may not word it exactly right, but it said, we need to stop trying to teach crochet perfection, but teach crochet art. And I really love that because art, crochet is an art. And all of our crochet, we have mistakes in it sometimes. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's what makes it individual and unique, right? All right. So hi, Trish. She's just clinking in. Don't worry. You can always watch later. And I'm so glad you all were here today. And like I said, practice some of those scrubbies and then post some pictures to my Facebook page. So I really, really want to see them. And I'll put the link to the Facebook page for those of you who'll be watching this on YouTube. No cheating when you're live. I know. There is no cheating. You know, when I'm doing a video and I make a mistake, I usually go, take one, then I'll start again, take two, so I can cut that out. And the other day I was working on something and I was like up to take 10. I'm like, forget it. I'm starting over. So anyway, if you cannot post a pic or you don't know how to post a picture, you can always email that to me, or, you know, you can just ask me and I'll explain to you how to do it. But I just love seeing the things that you make. I really, really do. And so if you just go to my Posh Pooch Designs Facebook page, click on photos that's on like the side, just click on photos and an album will come up and it'll say Crochet Together Pictures, I think. Because we're going to do more of these. And if you have something that you want to do together, something simple, it can't be real long because we don't have a lot of time, but or just a stitch or something you want to see, I'll do my best to do some more of those because this was a lot of fun. All right, so if you missed the beginning, we did all the new stuff at the beginning, and then we did the conversation on Scrubby yarns and the demonstration. So I'm so glad you all were here today. I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week, everyone.